Hello, BAME Farm fans. Guess we'll have an interactive day. Be strapped on my head, and we'll grind some feed. We'll get this action going this spring. I didn't feel like doing much of my repair videos. Not that there was a whole lot of tractor fixing going on this winter. But did some vehicle repairs, got that maroon truck running. That'll be in a video. See it doing something at some point. We don't grind enough feed, or often enough, to have a dedicated feed grinder tractor. But just enough that it sometimes gets annoying, hooking and unhooking all the time. Could probably do this in a lower gear. Here we got a batch of feed to grind. I've got a neighbor, let's say country neighbor, that gets a batch of feed every couple months. He's feeding a few cows. So that's what we're doing, a little, let's say, custom job. Sell some grain to somebody other than a commercial elevator. That way we're just not getting absolutely killed on price. I can name my price and most folks are tickled to death. And doing that, I'm still cheaper than whatever commercial place, but I don't like bagging feed. That's why this one I like. It's very easy, drop. He's got a bin to fill, so I just take the grinder. No bagging, nothing like that. I got a little bit of ear corn sortings to toss in. Then I get to go to the bin. Pull the lever. And make it loud. Well, we have a lovely pile of shucks for bedding. But this is some sortings. We sort a little bit of ear corn for a feed store. And we make it look all pretty in mesh bags. But it does leave us with, well, some less pretty stuff. I'm also curious to see how the camera will do with all the grinder noise, whether it can hear me talking or not. Dump all these in. It'll give us a little bit of base before we start putting the roasted beans in. So this is a cattle mix. It's the same cattle mix we use ourselves, give or take the ear corn. That we're mixing in. Well, the ear corn, shelled corn, roasted beans, salt and mineral. And the end goal is about a 12% mix. I've had a lot of folks come to me over winter and they were buying roasted beans to mix into their chicken feed just because of the extra oil in the bean. Which that's great for fattening. And in the winter, the beans are great because the oil gives energy for warmth. It's more concentrated than just the starch and the grain. We got enough air corn in there that's starting to circulate. That means the auger in the sensor is full. And now we do a bunch of bucketing to get the beans put in. This will be a longer, more interactive video for you folks. But we may not see all the dumping of the beans. I think you kind of get the point. But here's the end of the second wheelbarrow. And that means it's time for the shelled corn. So we always get the beans. But the ear corn just depends on if we've sorted much out recently. We need to remember to grab a bag of salt off the pile over here. And we'll toss that in when all the shelled corn's going in. Like, I know the ear corn and the beans are super dry, so they'll, even though there's not necessarily a lot of beans, just 2 wheelbarrows worth, they'll keep mixing in and flowing around. Sometimes you gotta watch that fresh corn in the fall. It'll be a little damp and it won't quite flow perfectly in the grinder. And it doesn't always mix great. So yeah, there's a little leak on the auger on the bottom side, but the dumb thing is it's in a very hard to get to spot. So at least we minimize the mess a little bit with our little tarp that has holes in it too. Chaos. The universe is all about chaos. Well, let's pull up front to the bin and get some corn. Okay, now we test my skills to see how well we can back up here. I gotta be plenty way too close. We're having a lot of wind today that's drying things out on top, but a lot of stuff is still really squishy underneath. And that spot is really showing it. That it's not dry, even though the top looks dry. Okay. Lock our lever. Maybe adjust this a hair. Okay, let's check, see if we're gonna hit the auger at all. Yeah, pretty close. Somewhere there. Depends on how much the wind blows on us. We're having a lovely windy day. It's Good Friday. Guess we might as well be able to fly a kite before Easter, right? Pull the lever again. And I gotta remember to put our little mess catcher back underneath. Make it loud. Yay for messes. Yeah, look at that breeze go. Woo! It's one way to clean the grain. Makes it a little messy at times, to say the least. But if the wind's blowing, it's clean over here, just don't go over there. Might be a little hard on your eyes. Sitting in the hole, we're not sitting up great. The other side is pretty full already. But it's one way to keep the grinder from getting dirty, is to have it really, really windy, right? Yeah, so this window is already full. Now it's half full. Some bird snacks, unfortunately. because then there's not enough flow of material to keep it cleaned out. Going through the mill, there's enough corn and everything, it'll clean out just fine. Now let's not ask questions about why the shop vac is out here. I really need a small grain vac. This bin is very, very full, and I had a small issue with grain coming out there for a second. And we've got a little access hole right here for some reason. And well, I was gonna just start shop backing out corn, and it'd be one really long, hard road to hoe to get a grinder load of corn. It'd be one way to get it done. I really should find some small seed back or whatever, just to have. Come on. I started so well pulling the string and then the string broke. I have the right side, I know it. We can do this the hard way, one loop at a time. Come on. What? You wake up on the wrong side of the bed this morning, string? Come on. Right there. Pulled the proper side, I know it. I wonder if I got a little wet. There we go, close enough. Now we only put in a partial bag of mineral. Don't ask me why, that's just the way it's always been done. Well, for entertainment's sake, we can get a bird's eye view from up here. See everything down below. And we'll have a minute. This window's not full yet. We'll wait for the top to start flapping. So that's how we know it's full. The lid is bouncing around. I already shut the grain off. We'll slow this buggy down. Kind of let it coast a little bit, because there's a lot of momentum in the mill. With the auger running, you know, full like that, though, it slows it down really quick. It's more important when it's empty. So we'll go ahead and close this up, and then we get to have the fun road journey. Come on. And this thing sank down in the mud, and we got to clean up a little pile down there, because, you know, it's, now this thing's probably close to 50 years old now. Yay! And that's about the only time this gets used, is to put the spillage in the back. And yeah, there's lots of bird snacks. The wind was blowing around our stream of corn. So if anybody's noticed, the auger's not here. Eventually, someday, one day, my goal is to tear out some really badly, haphazardly poured concrete here. And somewhere here, there might actually be gravel underneath this slop. And get it actually worked out perfectly, instead of just a mess of let's dump some concrete every once in a while. That was like that, well before our time here. Okay, now it's time for the road. Now it's time for a little ride. It's totally new to me, pulling the grinder down the road. I mean, I've made this trip, been doing this, I don't know, since sometime last summer. But usually the grinder doesn't move more than a few hundred yards across the barnyard. So it's definitely new for me to be making a nice road run. We're only going like a mile and a half. Okay, here we are. Get ready for the slope on this one. I think it looks worse in real life than it does on the camera. It's not the time to run out of muscle now. Well, we made it up the worst part. Once we get to the gravel, it's not bad. Well, it looks like we're pretty well lined up, centered. Didn't take too many tries. Now we do the fun part. Pull the lever slowly. Try to be slow. And let it unload. My favorite part, where we just watch the magic happen. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. Now I might as well let everybody see what's going on up here. Ooh. Now that's going to be a fun little bit of mess. There we go. Maybe we'll contain that. It's windy enough that'll blow off. But what's going on down inside? A whole lot of dust. Just a bunch of dust in there. There was a little bit left, but I figured out that holds a hair more than a grinder load. So that way it's an easy fill. You don't have to worry about shoveling around. It all fits. I only know that by accident, not on purpose. Moo! And there's his cows. So we'll wait. It'll be a few minutes. Watch it drop down the windows as it empties. Usually yik yak, but the owner's not here, so you guys get to deal with me and me alone. Oh, we're to the fun part. There's not much dripping out up there. It's gonna make lots of noise. I'm sure the camera can't see. So we gotta tap around and see what we hear. That sounds different, doesn't it? Hint, I cheated and was able to see in the window, and there's still stuff. We still have feet against this back side. The front side's easy to get to and it always clears out. It's not a whole lot left. I don't know if you guys can see in there, but after a whole bunch of tapping, finally got it all out. You can see there's a bit more coming out at the top. So we're just waiting for that to look like it dies down, which I'd say it probably is by the looks of it. We'll fold everything up and go. Turn that off. See, I can't unfold it with it up like this, but I can fold it up if I can reach. We'll want to set it down just a hair, but gravity will help it come crashing back down to earth to us. Give it a little kick. Come on. Maybe, maybe not. Could take a try or two. But once it comes folding back, get out of the way. Oh, you're so close. There we go. Maybe with old age it's getting slow, but I've had it just come flying back before. I'm about to take my head off. Unlatch that. Woo, thank you, wind. Drop that down. Latch that for good measure. And we'll take a peek-see in here before we go. Ow, that was my knee. Whew. Well, couldn't have timed that any better. Without getting in here and pushing it around. Look how close to the top that is. Not bad. I mean, there was some left. Probably had a week or two, but it's nice to have that leeway. But I don't have to rush here, and it doesn't require being absolutely empty to need refilled. Because I know it's definitely most annoying to only have enough room for one grinder load, so if it's not all the way empty, you won't have room, and then you gotta wait, and maybe it's not a perfect day when you need to grind. Luckily, he didn't eat any when it was freezing cold in the winter, and I was able to make the trip over here, well, without needing a heat house or a cab. That was a plus. Now, is the bucket big enough? That is the question. If we settle it all down, a bit more than a bucket underneath there. Be one overflowing bucket. Now we'll take the last little bit with us. We got to grind feed for ourselves here soon. Alright. Wedge that in good so it doesn't blow away. And we're ready to hit the road. And this was the fun feed delivery I make every couple months. I'll catch you guys later with more fun farming action.